Hello and good morning, all my beautiful people out there. I am Rachel, the Modern Shaman, and if you would like to access these question and answer videos that I do, I post them all to my YouTube channel, which is just the Modern Shaman. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can hop on my website, which is themodernshaman.net. Okay, so let's get started with the question. It says, how can you tell the difference between the spirits you're talking to? Like if it's a past loved one, or an angel, or spirit guide, or whatnot? Question mark. Okay. It's kind of a tricky one. This takes practice, I'll say that, but again, maybe it doesn't for you, but for me it took practice and really tuning into the subtleties within energy. And then just having experience of talking to various types of energies, entities, and thought complexes. Once you have met a lot of different types of energy, of course, you're going to be, I guess, more familiar with how they feel, and you'll be able to recognize them a little easier. But I can try and differentiate for you. But the big thing I would say for you is to really feel into this. So much of energy work is paying attention to the subtleties within the way it feels within your body and the way it feels within your mind and your heart, and how you, again, connect with spirit. Obviously, I'm clairaudient, all of these different clairs, clairvoyant and whatnot, so I can just ask them. I can just say, who's speaking to me. But I also feel energy, and so I can easily identify by the way it feels when a particular energy is connecting with me, and vice versa when I'm connecting with it. So if it is a, let's say, past loved one, let's start with that. That energy feels very native to our energy, human beings, because they just came from a human body. So the frequency is very native. It almost feels like you're talking to just a regular person in everyday life. So energetically speaking, it's the same type of energy signature, so to speak. And emotional makeup as well. Emotionally, it feels very polarized, meaning there's highs and lows. It's the dualistic experience of life on Earth. They're still very much in that emotional frequency as well. When I'm talking to a guide, a spiritual guide, animal guide, any guide, like a spiritual guide in your life, they feel probably the most similar to a past loved one. They're kind of like in between the frequency of an angel and a human being or a past loved one. And I realize I'm making a very broad statement here because people's guides are all very different depending on that person. And some of them, I think I've stated before, are not even personified, or they may not have energy that is specific to one entity. But for the most part, that energy, it feels broader, like the frequency, if you're looking at like a scalar wave, a sound wave, it would almost look larger to me. And when I feel it, a lot of times I can feel in my inner ear when the frequencies come in, and it feels larger. It feels like the waves are larger. So there's a stretching almost sensation for me to connect with them. I have to stretch my energy out a little bit, my frequencies out a little bit to connect. Then the next would be angels. So I'm going to put archangels in this here too, but there is a spectrum within all of these things. But angelic energy sounds silly, but is very angelic. It's very light. It feels like less dense, less compact, A lot of our native earth energies are very grounded energies, they're very compacted because you're squishing these big energies of souls and spirits down into these human bodies. So it feels dense. When you connect with angels, it feels the opposite, right? They're not bound by this human body, and they have a very, also large, I would say, similar to guides in terms of the scalar wave, the way it would feel. And the energy within them, to differentiate it between a guide and an angel, I would say to me is the personality imprint. Angelic entities have a little more stoic personality, at least from my perspective, than guides. Guides can be absolutely crazy. I know mine is just like off the wall funny and just always playing jokes on me. just a lot of personality. Angels feel a little more all-encompassing in their personality, a little more like they are watchers, more so than active. So there's a little more grandparent energy, the wise watcher, holder for the energy, and kind of lets things happen. They can get involved, but it does kind of feel like the wise grandparent that comes in and helps with the situation. And then, let's see, like alien or galactic energy, when I'm communicating with that, it feels alien. It feels cosmic. Sometimes there's more of a personality to it, but it does feel a little more detached from our emotional makeup. So not as emotional in terms of the vibrational imprint. And then the perspective is broader. It's not so much like a guide being able to see everything and an angel being able to see everything and encompass everything, but it's a specific point of view, but it's a cosmic point of view. So viewing humankind as one race, there's, when you're talking to a galactic entity, it feels much more, it sounds silly, but just like you're talking to a galactic entity. It feels wise, but also aware and, like a human who's had millennia of experience. That's probably the best way I can describe it. And then social complexes or thought complexes. I've described this before. It's kind of like a group of entities, so to speak, or energies that via the law of attraction are all connected in a specific thought pattern and thought process. So essentially they care so much and are so involved in a specific thing, a specific thought, a specific process, that they all combine and communicate as one entity. So when you're talking to them, to me, the energy feels huge. This to me is just to me personally, is the hardest energy to assimilate in my physical body. It comes to me through my heart chakra, and it feels like somebody punched me in the heart. Like I'm gonna get the breath knocked out of me. It's so dense with energy, with all of this energy pushed into this tiny funnel trying to communicate one point. To me, that's how I know it right away. I mean, I can feel it a lot, but the language is very specific when they're communicating, but the thoughts that they send are huge. It's kind of like a genius when you're talking to them. There's so much going on up here, and their thoughts are, and their sentences are very precise in the way they say things, but you can tell the energy is like having to funnel down into these words. And that is the feel energetically of a social complex. I think those are the main ones. There's obviously a spectrum within each of those, but that's kind of how I differentiate them, other than just, like I said, asking, because I can hear them. I hope that's helpful to you. And again, if you're questioning a specific communication that you're getting, feel free to just ask me about that, and I can kind of direct you further in your specific quest. Be blessed.